Okay, so got a couple lines on here. Obviously the shaft plane, put a circle where your hands are starting, got a line on your rear end and a couple lines designating where your head is starting. So right out of the gate, I think the posture is definitely better, a little more bent over. Ideally, I'd like to see the hands a little bit down more. This isn't bad, but your right wrist is still uncocked a little too much, and it's going to cause this problem here. As the club kind of swings back, you're going to notice that right away the hands go out and away. And when the club shaft gets to be parallel to the ground, you'll notice if I put another line on here that your left arm, if I go from the shoulder to your hand, is sort of on the outside. Ideally, you'd like to have that left arm closer to right about here. And what it's doing is you're kind of disconnecting yourself as you get started, and then you've got to figure out a way to get it kind of reconnected on the way back. So ideally, I like to see the left arm a little closer to your body coming back, and that'll keep your hands from working out. How they're already sort of out in this area. Your hands have gone out to there. Hands are still going out. And now they've got to start working back in pretty quickly. And what that does is it sends the shaft. If we get up here and just look at the shaft plane, the shaft's now way laid off at this point. So you got the shaft point way laid off. The good news is that you recover pretty well to the top. Your right hip's actually gone deeper, which is huge for power. Your head's in a good position. Legs, everything looks pretty good. Shoulder plane's a little flat. Ideally, I'd like to see the shoulders a little more sort of in this range right here. But the shoulders had to turn flat because when you push your hands and arms out away from you at the start, that's gonna get those shoulders turning flat. So if we bring you back down to the beginning, arms go out, so what that's going to do is that forces your left shoulder to turn out in front of you more instead of turning down. And now you got right away, you got the shaft way rolled open, and the shaft's kind of laid off at this point. You'd like to see the shaft a little bit more towards the ball, obviously. So again, you recover pretty good to the top. The head cover falls out, so at this point the gap in your right arm to your body isn't really affected by this head cover. I think I would definitely use something different. I would try the belt, put a T under there, something much smaller that you've got to kind of squeeze in there. Because as you see, as you come down, what's happening is if you notice your head's pulling back away from the line, the reason that's happening is because you've got to figure out a way to get room for the shaft to come down, and you've got to steepen the shaft. So if you notice, the shaft goes from here, where it's way laid off, so you've got to figure out how to correct that. And the easiest way to do that is to kind of pull back away, and now you got the shaft back on plane, more or less. And as you're pulling away, it just requires a lot of hand action now to finish off this swing. You stayed up against the wall here pretty good. Hips look pretty good. Ideally they're right there, which is pretty good. The head's come down a little bit, which all good players do, but I think this pulling away is a big problem because you can't stay in your posture. You're having to pull back away, and that's because you've had to go from rolled open and kind of laid off at this point with the hands working out and up. And now you've got to figure out, how do I get the arms back down and the shaft a little steeper to hit the ground. You got to pull back away quite a bit. And I think, again, all this comes back to the address position, that if you're able to get those hands down just a little bit lower, just a touch, that'll help you not get those hands out in here, which is just causing a lot of disconnection. The hands should really, as the club shaft goes up, as the head will follow the shaft up this line, the hands should stay pretty much in this circle all the way up to about right here. You see, you've kind of lifted your hands out and up. Your hands should still be in the red circle, and instead they're all the way up here. So now you've got to figure out, how do I get my hands from all the way back here after I push them out to get them all the way up into here? And what you do is you kind of, now you've got to lift and turn the shoulders back flat, which gives you this kind of look with the shoulders pretty flat, because if your spine angle's here Ideally we want it perpendicular to that line, more in this range. Instead you've got your shoulders turned pretty flat. That's now that big pull away as you start down. So there's a quick look at it. And then again, as you finish, right away the shaft's got to get, because you had to steepen it coming down, the shaft's extremely vertical at this point. And again, the shoulders are turned very flat as we come through. So just a lot of hand action there, kind of going through the shot. And the left arm's way up high. Ideally, you want the left arm a little more level to the ground at this point.